Jake here for American Muscle, and today I'm taking a look at these LightBar DRL projector headlights with smoked lenses. Now these are going to fit all 2005 to 2009 Mustangs that came equipped with factory halogen headlights, excluding the GT500s. Bring a little bit of modern flair to your S197 with these updated projector headlights. With their tri-bar design, they bring some of that S550 type style to your car and provide a modern, updated overall look. Not only that, but they also bring some updated light output too, making for an improvement in both function and form. Now, of course, let's get the obvious thing out of the way here first. These were clearly heavily influenced by the style of the S550 generation Mustang. With the large projector for the main beams and the tri-bar design of the daytime running lights here, it's not hard to see where the inspiration came from for this setup. Now those tri-bar LED daytime running lights are a nice nod not just to the S550, but also the Mustang's trademark tri-bar tail lights, so it's a pretty cool feature. They are certainly an eye-catcher out on the road. Since they are LEDs, they light up this bright white, and they're gonna make your Mustang stand out from the crowd. Of course, we also have to talk about the main projectors here too. These are going to throw out a much better beam of light than your factory halogens. Now they use H9 12-volt bulbs, much like a standard halogen light, but the inclusion of the projector housing means that despite having those smoked lenses and even this black internal housing, you're going to get a sharper cutoff and overall better light output. So they look cool, they give you a much better light output than your factory setup. Plus, those bulbs are easy to find and replace should you need to replace one in the future. And on top of all of that, it's also worth noting that these do comply with all DOT, SAE, and FMV 108 SS regulations, making them fully street legal. On construction, features ABS plastic housings out back and impact-resistant polycarbonate lenses. Now within the light itself, the components are also hermetically sealed to keep out dirt and moistures. So these are going to be able to stand up to inclement weather and whatever else you may encounter out on the road. When it comes to price, these are going to fall toward the top end of the category, coming in around $500. You are getting that solid construction and some really cool style here, so if you like what you're looking at, I'd still say these are a good buy. They're going to make a dramatic improvement to not just the lighting output, but also the aesthetics of your Mustang. Installation will get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you about an hour to get the job done. Now the reason for that 2 out of 3 is that you are going to have to remove the bumper and the upper radiator cover. Definitely a job you can complete at home, since otherwise these are mostly a plug-and-play operation. You are going to have to run one power and one ground wire, but everything is right there ready for you to go. That's just to get those DRLs running. And now to show you the whole process, let's head on over to the install bay.
The tools you'll need for this project are a power driver or a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 5.5mm socket, a trim removal tool, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a wire stripper and crimper, and you'll also need to source some sort of wire connectors, either Scotch locks or a T-tap and spade bit. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of headlights on our Mustang, but before we do that, let's watch a short video on how to uninstall the stock headlights.
So for this install, we're going to have to pop off our upper radiator cover and our front bumper. It's a pretty simple process. I'm going to walk you through it, so let's get started. I'm going to start by using my clip panel tool to remove the 6 push pins that hold the upper rad cover in. Then I'll pull the pins out, pull the rad cover off. Next, I'm going to take a 10mm socket on my ratchet and remove the 2 bolts on either side of the front bumper at the top. Next, I'm going to use a Phillips head to remove the 3 screws in the inner wheel well liner to gain access to the 2 nuts that are behind the wheel well liner, and I'm going to do this on both sides. With my wheel liner pulled back out of the way, I have access to the 2 10mm nuts here on the inside of the bumper. So I'm going to take my 10mm socket on my ratchet and remove those. And now I can do the same exact thing on the other side. So we're just about ready to pull our front bumper off, but before we can do this, there's still a couple screws on the bottom, and there are some lights on either side of the bumper that need to be removed. There's 2 light sockets on either corner. I'm just going to twist them out and remove them from the bumper, and then I can pull my bumper off. And now I'll just do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm just going to use a 5.5mm socket and remove the 4 screws at the bottom of the bumper. So now I'm ready to pull my bumper away from my vehicle. While I do so, I'm going to unhook my 2 fog lights as I'm pulling everything out. Next, I'm just going to use my 10mm socket again to remove the 3 bolts that hold the headlight into place, and then I will disconnect the headlight connector from the back. There's 1 at the top and there's 2 at the bottom.
Now we can go ahead and install our new lights simply by plugging in the connector on the back of the light to the connector on the vehicle. Now you will notice that there are a couple of extra wires in here that we'll have to wire in for the daytime running lights. We'll get to those in a minute, but for now, let's go ahead and get this light installed and secured with the factory hardware and tighten it down with our 10mm socket. All right, now these extra wires that we talked about for the DRLs, they're gonna have to be tapped into your parking light system. Now, ours has already been modified before, so all we're gonna have to do is attach a couple of spade bits to the end of the wires and plug them in. You may not have that on your car yet, so one of the easiest ways is to use something like this T-tap adapter. And what you would do is just clamp this around the wire, put a spade bit on the end of this, and plug it into the side of the T-tap, and you're done. There are several different options that you can use, but that's one of the easiest ones. So we're gonna go ahead and just put our spade bit on the end of these wires and get them plugged in so we can go ahead and show you how they work. So we just strip off about 3/8 to 1/2 inch off the end of the wire, slide our spade bit on, and clamp it down. Now to connect the wires on the passenger side like ours is right now, you want to connect the white wire from the headlight to the brown wire on your parking light. And your parking light is just the little black connector, not the larger brown one. So plug the white wire into the brown wire, plug the black wire into the black wire. And you can repeat that whole process for the other side, keeping in mind that the connector on the driver's side has a black wire and a red and white striped wire. So that's where you'll connect the white wire on the driver's side. Now once you've got your headlights installed and you've got your DRLs tapped into your parking lights, it's always a good idea to test them first to make sure that they work before reinstalling your front bumper. Now, we've already tested ours and we know that everything is fine. So we'll go ahead and install the bumper, making sure, of course, to remember to connect your fog lights before setting it in place. Now we can go ahead and install our original hardware just to make sure that it doesn't fall off while we're taking care of the rest of the install. Now it's pretty difficult to get the camera in here to see what we're going to be doing next because we're not up on the lift. But basically what you're going to do is you're just going to reconnect your parking light and your turn signal connectors before we attach the bumper to the fender. All right, once we've got everything plugged in, then we can go ahead and reattach our bumper to the fender using the original hardware and tightening it down with our 10mm socket. Now that we've got the fender and the bumper reconnected, we can go ahead and place our fender liner back where it belongs and secure it using the original hardware. Now we'll tighten it down with our number 2 Phillips screwdriver. And repeat that whole process for the other side. Now again, because we're not on a lift, it's a little difficult to get the camera in here, but you're just going to reattach the belly pan underneath using the original hardware that you used to take it out with. We'll tighten it down with our 5.5 millimeter socket. All right, now we'll go ahead and tighten down our 2 top bolts and then reattach our radiator cover using the original push pins on that as well. And that wraps up our review and install of the LightBar DRL projector headlights with the chrome housing and smoke lens for the 05 to 09 Mustang with factory halogen headlights, excluding the GT500. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.